Hi, my name is Gavin Rackard. I'm the lead performance nutritionist with Connacht Rugby. I've been in that role since September 2019 and predominantly work with the senior team. So pretty much, like I mentioned, I work predominantly with the senior team. The primary roles, I guess, with that vary. The main part of it, I suppose, is your one-to-one consultations with players, sitting down with a player, be it formally or informally, to simply speaking, offer performance nutrition advice that can help with their performance, with their health on a day-to-day basis. Beyond that as well, there's some body composition measurements there around skin fold testing to offer them some objective markers in terms of reaching increases in lean mass and reductions in fat mass where necessary. Around match day, there's, I suppose, quite a bit in terms of fueling, so hitting 500 to 600 grams of carbohydrates a day before a game, giving the information in that setting, and in hotels like this to allow them to meet that guideline by providing or help provide the food that they eat here. Similarly speaking, I suppose there's a lot around recovery. So post-game in particular, a lot of guys will lose a lot of weight. Trying to get their weight back up to normal would involve a lot of high protein sources, high carbohydrate sources, and offering the players, I suppose, best practice knowledge, or even in this case in the hotel here, the best practice environment to allow them recover adequately. Similarly speaking, it's also giving them information around supplementation. So some of the basic supplements around creatine, whey protein, fish oils, just either to maintain that lean mass, like I mentioned, or simply speaking, reduce their muscle soreness after games. So there's a nice little bit involved, be it one-to-one consultations, presentations, work around match day, and supplementation. So I suppose some of the staff I'd work closely with directly are, I suppose, your strength and conditioning coaches in the area of focusing on strength, lean mass, the likes of Mikey Kiley, Barry O'Brien, Mike O'Driscoll. Naturally speaking, the physios as well, would have to lean on them quite a lot, to be honest, to understand the rehab plan, but understanding too where nutrition fits into that plan, and what kind of nutrition practices can help in a recon setting. So some of the guys might have some objective markers to hit during their return to play phase. Some of the guys might need some focus on some injury specific nutrition around, be it collagen or vitamin C or otherwise. So the physio staff, in particular the S&C staff, but also it's obviously important to link in with the coaches too, particularly around how they see a player going, how they see a player moving and playing in effect, and how nutrition can help with that in terms of their fueling and recovery. So pretty much everybody, but the couple of areas I mentioned there are probably the most important areas. Our supplement partners at Connecticut, to be fair, provide a vast variety of options for us to implement into our supplementation and performance nutrition program. Some of the basics around that are your creatine to help regenerate that kind of ATP and simply speaking implement it into the daily program of the players. Beyond that as well, obviously there's a whey protein and recovery option that can help hit our protein targets and our carbohydrate targets based off the intensity of training. We have our oat gain option that can obviously help with the gainers. I think it's something like 640 calories on 4 scoops, and some of the guys that need to put on a bit of size will obviously have that as part of a daily part of the program. Some of the smaller options then around fish oils, around your zinc mag can help with different things too. So to be fair, Connecticut provide quite a wide variety of supplements that are used as part of our daily provision and our daily nutrition program here in Connacht Rugby. So I suppose from a South Africa tour preparation standpoint, there's quite a nice bit to it, but a lot of the work, particularly in the hotel here, would have been done weeks ago, and liaising with Tim to effectively get in touch with the chef, get in touch with the manager at the hotel, and put our plans in place around nutrition, put our plans in place around what we needed, the volume of food we needed, the type of food we needed, and how often we needed to eat that. So I would have sent them a menu, and they would have come back with their menu, and we would have met somewhere in between. There's quite a lot of things to consider, given that you're effectively feeding 41 people, but some of the basics around it are, like, is it a complete source of protein every 3.5 hours that the players can get in? Are they getting nutrient-dense carbohydrates based off the intensity of training? Are they getting a volume of fruit and veg that they need to maintain their immunity? A lot of those parameters are put in place with the chef, with the catering company, couple of weeks ago, and that's implemented, and an Excel sheet is agreed in that sense, and that's agreed and kind of ticked off. Beyond that then, particularly around travel, I suppose, liaising with Chopper and Mikey, there would have been a plan put in place and presentations put to the players around maintaining health, maintaining hydration status, optimizing sleep, optimizing the nutrition during travel, and a little document would have been sent out, but also just simply speaking, optimising their sleep, and when they arrive here, that they're as fresh as they possibly can be, and ready to go in effect. So as we're here now, all the preparation side of it's done, and it's working on the ground. So it's daily monitoring, informal conversations with players to meet the calorie guidelines, ensuring that there's adequate food available for guys that need to gain mass or keep mass on effect and recover adequately, ensure there's adequate variety to make that kind of enjoyment of food is still there, but also speaking when we come to match day tomorrow, and when we come to, match day -1 tomorrow and match day the following day, that they have adequate foods available to fuel the players so that they can perform at the very best come match day. And then effectively once Sunday comes, the cycle starts again, and the recovery cycle, and we're going back into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and making sure that the players are periodising the nutrition appropriately. So like I mentioned there, we have the preparation work in advance around with the hotel, the middle part obviously where the flight, and try to optimise nutrition and sleep there, and obviously when we get to the hotel then, it's trying to make sure that everything is in place for the players to perform at the weekend. Well, first of all, compliments to Chef Michael here in Garden Court, who's done a brilliant job so far, and basically everything we've had has been laid on in a fantastic manner, and I'll take you through some of the stuff today based on a moderate intensity day, so thanks for that, Michael. To make it quite simple, pretty much we've all the proteins first, so you take a look at the chicken option, the beef option here. And simply speaking, it's been a moderate intensity day, so it's not been high load, it's not been carb load, it's not been a Tuesday per se. So physically speaking, I want most of the players to focus on the proteins first. So you're looking at about 50-60 grams of protein probably for every meal. The grilled beef steak, the roasted quarter legs are a really good option for that, obviously a bit of side sauce as well. So you would take into account that the majority of these athletes would need 50-60 grams probably every 3.5 hours to nail what they need after a day like that. Beyond that then obviously, there's two sources of carbohydrates, so depending on the intensity of training each player undertook, you have a volume of carbohydrate based off that. So some of the guys weighed in today at the weight that they would normally be, some of the guys weighed in lower, some of the guys weighed in higher. So based off the intensity of training today, the majority of guys probably need about 80 to 90 grams of carbohydrates. That'll obviously increase with body weight, and that'll increase depending on what their weight was this morning as well. And using that information, guys will obviously have half a plate of carbohydrates, maybe a third of the plate. So that's, generally speaking, self-aligned. So they'll sit down and go, I had a moderate intensity day, I'll cut back on the carbohydrates where necessary, or I had a high intensity day, a double day, like most of them did today, and I'll load up maybe half the plate of carbohydrates. And then, simply speaking, you're looking at a volume of fruit, vegetables as well. So you have butternut squash here, you have a volume of lettuce, you have tomatoes, you have different options of fibre options too. For the immunity, we have a soup option too. So realistically speaking, you're not just getting in the protein, you're not just getting the carbohydrates, but you're obviously getting in a volume of vitamins, minerals and fibre as well. It may not be that important given the weather we have, but realistically speaking, a lot of these guys are probably immunocompromised with the travelling we've undertaken, with the weather probably as well, and then given the change of environment, given the air conditioning, given the hotel rooms. So making sure their immune system is pretty robust is key. So obviously hitting your calories first and foremost for that. And secondly speaking, looking at different options like lettuce, different options like your soups, and different options like your butternut squash here as well, and the rest of the options there that we had earlier where your kind of roasted carrots, broccoli, and assortment as well. So pretty much we've everything covered there. And for the rest of the evening then again, pre-bed snack will probably be like a roast chicken breast option with some ciabatta, maybe some Greek yogurt for a casein-rich option before you go to sleep. Again, you're looking at about 40-50 grams of protein there, just to make sure the guys are recovered going into the captain's run tomorrow. And then going fast forward to tomorrow, pretty much you'll have a carb load. So you'll probably switch over, you'll have a lot of carbohydrates first, be it the rice or potatoes, and that'll obviously lead into fueling them for the match day themselves.